are you, I think you mentioned you're organic indoors. Is that your kind of grow style that you go for these days?
Well, I started out growing with Happy Frog and Fox Farm, right? All Fox Farm, the ocean forest, and then they stopped selling it in Canada last year for some reason. And that's kind of what I went to in the beginning because, of course, the forums, everybody, you just go places in the beginning where you're kind of directed, for soil because you don't know anything, so you just take some advice. Everybody's using it, so I did. That's what I used. I burned some seedlings, and then of course used a Happy Frog in the beginning. Changed over using Happy Frog. But nevertheless, they stopped selling it, and it did what I thought was a decent job. But I started mixing my own soil, using kind of the Coots, method more or less. Everybody takes their own spin on it, and I've taken my own spin on it, and just started because I had to come up with a new soil. This couple,
a whole new recipe.
I think it was last grow or the grow before or something we didn't have it, something. So anyway, so I basically, the Coots recipe is basically a third drainage, a third compost, and a third peat, right? So I basically, I dumb everything down, by the way. I dumb everything down because I'm kind of dumb. And
so that I can understand it.
No, it's so I can understand it. And it's almost hard explaining dumb, but let me try. So I take my peat, right? I went to Pro Mix because it's got the peat, it's got the perlite already in it. And then I'll take 2/3 of my Pro Mix that's what I'll mix. And then I'll put in a third worm castings with some sort of, what would we call it?
Compost.
I got a bag of compost laying around for the garden for outside. I like to throw some of that compost in too, just so we mix in some more microbes or just get some stuff that the worm castings didn't have in it. And then I'll add about a 10% more perlite. And then I'll put Gaia Green. I use Gaia Green amendments, organic amendments. And I use the 444 and the 284, and I blend them. And I think when I do the main soil, when I first start out with the main soil, I do half and half, and they require 3 tablespoons per gallon is what I do, except it's 1.5 of each for the soil, and let it cook for like a month.
In the garage.
And I find that to be a real gentle mix for the seedlings. And so so that's starting right off. After it's cooked for a month, we're good for seedlings. And it does a real good job on them. And then every time I do an up pot, I add more amendments to the soil. Like I'm going to be doing another up pot to a 1.5. And when I go up to the 1.5 gallon, of course, that's going to be my veg, and they're going to be sitting in there for 6 weeks. Yeah, they're going to be sitting there they did last, it's 6-7 weeks, but probably more like 6 weeks. And I'll do dry back on those. Well, I'll talk about watering. But so then I will add 444 and maybe like, I'm going to go less. Boy, it really gets going. But I'm going to add less of that this time around because I'm still trying to get the recipe, because I'm getting some tips, little burn tips. It's not bad, but if I start adjusting my amendments back, I'm going to get that soil perfect eventually. And so I'm adjusting that my mix is back. And if people come out to my show, they'll see my recipe changing a little bit as we go through it. The recipe's good. It did a better job than I think my soil has done a better job than it ever did with the Fox Farm.
Yeah.
And
Sorry, Fox Farm.
Sorry, Fox Farm. I think I found a new, I was forced to go outside of my little comfort zone and go do something on my own, which is, like I said, I'm really.
It was a huge concern, a huge worry, like doing the last grow without it.
Well, I started, in fact, I was going to reuse my soil. And I thought that sounded like a great idea until it just did a horrible job on some vegging girls that I had. And I said, okay, we're only doing 4 plants. I don't need to save the world by, saving the soil. And I can also use it outside, for 4 plants. So I veg for about 6 weeks. And then before I do my up pot for my transition, and that's when I'll add a little bit of the 284 to that as well, but not as much. And then when I go up to the transition to the next pot up, and I pot up to 7-gallon pots now. And when I pot up to those, and I'm using the same soil I started with, I'm just adding to it. So then I will amend, I was amending 3 tablespoons per gallon, but I think I'm dropping all my amendments. When I go back to re-amend, I'm re-amending at 2 tablespoons per gallon.
Instead of the 3.
But I'll be using more 284. Right, I'll be using like 75%, 80%, 284, and then I'll still be throwing in a little 444 in the end, I think. And then when I Of course, when I only do one. I do two.
Top dressing?
I do two top dressings. See, this is what she does for me. She's awesome. I add two top dressings, and I add the first top dressing. Oh my goodness!
Right before flip,
Yeah.
you add the top dressing, and then few weeks after flip. Right?
Oh my goodness gracious! Yeah, I don't think I do a top dressing in veg. I just let it go 6 weeks just in that soil, and then I'll do it, and then I'll up pot, and
It's
then
looking good.
and then in the third week, this is how easy it is. And then in the third week of flower, I think I do a top dressing. I'm done. It couldn't get any easier. It just couldn't get any easier. And you know what? This last few grows, I've experimented a little bit with, with adding things to the soil and feeding the soil with such things as molasses, maybe making a few teas. I've
Voodoo juice. We go to that the store, right? The organic Mr. What's it called? Mr. Fertilizer. We go to the store and they kind of go like, "Hey, have you tried this?" And and we
I can't take her there anymore because she'll just buy everything, right?
This, honey.
Yeah, we get this, and I'm taking stuff off shelf. And I think I'm actually at this point.
I'm not allowed there anymore.
At this point in my grow, I'm trying to establish a baseline of how much do I really need to put in the soil, because I'm growing some really good stuff. They're just beautiful. I'm growing what I want to be growing, and we haven't talked about yields yet because I'm not using CO2, so I'm not getting any stupid yields. But I'm trying for between 5 and 6 ounces of dense. We're not counting larvae. We're not counting anything else. Between 5 and 6 ounces. If I get over 6 ounces, I feel like I've done it. And 5 ounces, I think, well, your genetics are just not going to. Some genetics are just going to give you more than others. But if I'm getting 5 ounces, I think I've done my job with the girls. And I'm like I said, I'm getting a baseline by I'm not putting anything in the soil. I haven't for the last few grows, and I'm really getting nothing. I'm not. That's how easy it is.
Yeah, he stopped doing teas. He used to do.
But I'm thinking I will eventually, once I've really got a good baseline of what my grows are, I think I'll start maybe feeding the soil and seeing if there's any improvements with yield or quality. Which this is kind of how, and I like to think that I'm relating to a lot of growers out there that are growing medicinal plants, 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. Because not everybody's doing 12, 15, 20 plants or even 10 plants.
Yeah, our limit is 4 in Canada. Yeah,
our limit's 4, and of course I could go out there and get a license for other, for medicinal. I could go out and get licensed to probably grow more. I'm retired. I'm not looking for another job. I'm really not. I mean, what I do is
4 is enough.
No, but what I do in the garden, but it enables me to spend. I mean, if you have 12 kids, are you going to give them all what they need? You're not. I don't think you are. If you have 4 children and you spend so much time down there with them, they're getting so much attention. It's really awesome. And
that is how you came up with your name, Grow Daddy, because he used to, when he first started growing, he'd like run downstairs and upstairs and like, oh, the girls are doing this, and I was like, you're just like a daddy.
Listen, Chris, I have 2 hobbies. Okay. I golf. I'm retired, by the way. If I didn't mention I'm retired, so I golf and I do my grow. And I think I have as much passion for both of them. I really do. I'm so passionate. I go around my friends. My friends can't stand me. They can't stand me because this is all I talk about, right? I talk about either growing or golf. And if you're not into one of those, you shouldn't be in the room I'm in because I'm just going, I'm talking about, I get so stupid. I feel dumb. I feel dumb.
That's funny. You did a really, really good job of explaining really nutrition, what's in your soil mix. You're in the 2/3 pro mix, 1/3 worm castings with compost. You got some perlite in there, Gaia Green amendments. You cook for a month. Then you're up potting. You're adding more amendments. I got little notes here. Cheating. I don't have those memorized.
Okay.
We did take notes here, but
I forgot a couple things. I put dolomite lime in there. I had about a tablespoon, and I didn't for the seedlings, but I got it before I do this next up pot. I want to add some dolomite lime. I don't even know what the hell it does. I just figure it won't hurt, and I'm putting a tablespoon in.
It was good last time.
Everything worked last time. I really want to stay to the same thing I did last time, except I want to start decreasing my amendments a little bit because I got a little bit of tip burn. I think when I get that tip burn out of there, and another thing about this and going on is all these additives like CalMag and all this different stuff, deficiencies. I don't even know what a deficiency is. I don't see them. I absolutely don't see. I don't never use CalMag. I never use. So
Yeah, whatever.
I mean, I see a lot of stuff. Whatever the hell I'm doing, it's called dummy growing. I have I've grown some ugly plants. Let me tell you. I mean, my first few grows with too much light. I mean, I have screwed up some plants. But when you start getting that light on there right, and you start giving them the right amount of water, and you're not overwatering or underwatering or stressing them out, and you're giving them just putting in some decent amendments, like they just don't ask for. They just haven't asked me for anything else.
This clip is brought to you by AC Infinity. Use discount code MrGrow at 15 to save on any of their products.